Another team that maybe is a little bit of a hot seat and a true hot seat is South Carolina. And we look at the Gamecocks, but Nard, what are your thoughts down in Columbia, South Carolina?
So there's obviously some pieces that I like, and everyone's familiar with the names. You got Dylan Stewart on the defensive side of the ball, came in as a true freshman a few years ago and just kind of took even the SEC and the college football world by storm with some of the plays he was making as a true freshman on the defensive line in that conference. But he's a stud. He'll be a top 10, top 15 draft pick in next April's NFL draft. You got LaNorris Sellers, who many were talking about being a first-round quarterback pick in the NFL draft this past spring. Had a really rough year last year. I think that them bringing Kendal Briles to be the offensive coordinator, run the offense. Kendal Briles is, look, say what you want about his dad and the scumbag piece of shit his dad was, but Kendal Briles is a legitimate, like, kind of quarterback and offensive savant in college football. I think Sellers and Briles together, Sellers getting the ball out to Nyck Harbor, like they got three legitimate, like probably first round, if not first round, then early day two type picks on this roster. They were aggressive in the portal, attacking the offensive line, but there's also some things that, like, do they have the defensive star power, the playmakers, dynamic playmakers on the defensive side of the ball outside of Dylan Stewart? Is their offensive line going to come together with all the portal additions? So I would say, gun to my head, I'm probably taking the under 6.5, just given the difficulty of the schedule that seems to be in front of them this year. Their kind of non-conference power four team that they play is obviously the Clemson Tigers at the end of the year every year. They open the season with 3 winnable games in Kent State, Towson, and Mississippi State at home, but then the schedule gets pretty daunting from there. They got road trips to Alabama, to Gainesville to play the Gators, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then Clemson, with home games against Georgia and A&M and Tennessee kind of mixed in. So, man, I think it's possible that they have a better team this year than they did last year, but don't see much improvement from that 4-8 record that they posted at the end of last season. So, man, I'll go back to you, Marsh. But yeah, the Cox, I think, going to be a difficult year for him.
I totally understand that. For me, listen, I like what they did. They know they've got a player in LaNorris Sellers who was running for his life last season. Granted, he's a mobile QB, but I think they know that to get the most out of him, he can't be a one read and somebody in his face type quarterback. So for me, I like that they were so aggressive in the portal with offensive line. I mean, you got guys from NC State, UCF, East Carolina, and then you got 4 more guys outside of that. So it's just the offensive line room. It's it's gotten it's gotten tight. Let's be real. I mean, I hope there's some square footage there because they brought in a ton of big boys to try and figure that out, and it's probably going to be a sweaty, nasty mess in the film study, but. Outside of that, I think LaNorris Sellers, I love that he came back to college. I knew, listen, everyone was talking about the traits. He's Anthony Richardson 2.0. If he would have went to the NFL this season, for this upcoming season, this previous draft, it would have been a nightmare. I think he would have got drafted to a place that he wouldn't be able to develop, wouldn't have the supporting cast around him. And when you're built like that, when you're in middle linebacker playing quarterback with rec specs on, it's not a great signal to the NFL, especially when you look at the only person that's really been successful doing that is Cam Newton. So I like what South Carolina has done bringing LaNorris back. Shane Beamer's still there. There's continuity. They've really invested in the offensive line. Dylan Stewart's still there. And then Nyck Harbor, who a lot of people compare as like the poor man's Calvin Johnson. He's got a DK Metcalf type build to him. These guys, the reality is Frank Beamer just goes out and recruits the most physical specimens of all time and just hopes that it works, is basically what it comes down to. So I'm hoping that there's some excitement here. I want to see these guys that were just built in a lab between Sellers and Harbor and Stewart. I want to see them be successful to some extent. Listen, the reality is it's going to be middle of the road again. I don't see huge potential, maybe some shock, but at the end of the day, the South Carolina Gamecocks are going to be exactly what they were last year.
Well, I'm glad that you guys went first because I'm on the complete opposite side of you guys. I think they are going to be a much improved team from last year. You guys mentioned they had the top end talent. They came in last year, I think, thinking they were going to have a big, great year and just kind of got a little ahead of themselves. Had some tough losses, but I think the way their schedule shapes up, not easy wins, but 3 wins to start the season. And I think that they can actually compete and beat some of the top end SEC teams. So I think they're going to definitely improve this year. I like the over 6.5. I think I like some of the numbers of these lower end mid tier teams more than the higher end mid tier teams. I just think that South Carolina is going to have a good year. I'm buying in on Sellers. I'm trying to buy low on him. I think that I think they have a real shot. And the only thing that really concerns me is the end of that schedule is just so brutal with Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Clemson, 4 of your last 5 games. You could be 7-0 going to that and still lose 4 of your last 5. So that does concern me some, but I think Beamer gets them turned around a little bit, and I think they improve this year.
And let's not forget, if we're keeping tabs on the Key and Peele name skit, Nitro Tuggle at the wide receiver position. Absolute phenomenal name. Hope that guy is in the fucking Bolitnikoff race.
The one thing I kind of go back to, in fair, unfair, you guys, tell me, but when you as a coach are starting to get on the hot seat, you're what was their record at the time? Looks like they were 3-6. Yeah, 3-6. They go into College Station, Texas last year. They get up 30-3 at halftime, and they find a way to lose that game and blow it 31-30 to Texas A&M. Like, to me, that becomes kind of like a bad omen, and a mark on the resume that's very hard to get over. It's one of the biggest kind of blown halftime leads we've seen in college football and Power 4 college football in a few years. And can Beamer, like the fact that he got Stewart and Sellers and Harbor to come back and they didn't leave the program, like that's a good sign. But man, if they have another rough year and end up getting rid of Beamer after this, it's gonna be hard not to look back at that blown 30-3 halftime lead and not think that was kind of the beginning of the cascade to end his time in Columbia, South Carolina.
I watched that game live, and if I recall correctly, I had South Carolina minus a half point on the spread in my betting. And needless to say, I was at home. My only daughter at the time was home. And there were some choice words thrown around. That was probably the most idiotic, embarrassing loss I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And it like, I was dumbfounded just watching this team come back from what seemed like the most insurmountable place I had ever seen. So there may be some bias towards South Carolina. It was a little bit of a chafing my ass, but I'm with you, Nard. I don't know how you come back from that. I don't know how you overcome such an embarrassment as a head coach, but Shane Beamer, more power to you, man. You followed your father's footsteps. You did it right. You got to an SEC program. Your father was stuck in the ACC. Call a spade, but you haven't done shit, and you kind of need to do something. So if it's gonna happen, this is the year. If not, yeah, let's light a fire under that chair.